This fictional story depicts a returned Australian soldier dealing with triggers in everyday life. It may be very triggering.
All right, so I'm going to tell you a story, and to begin the story I'm going to clap my hands, which will mean that it's now the character speaking, not me, just so you don't get confused. So here we go. So this is a story about how I came to be where I am now. So I did my military service overseas. Now I'm back in Australia, and my girlfriend at the time, she was back home. She left when I got back, and life's not all about love, but yeah, some blokes when they're over there, their wife would leave or girlfriend would leave them while they're there. Mine left me when I got back. I don't know if I was lucky for that or not, but anyway, that's what happened. And as always happens, or usually happens when blokes come back from overseas, they have, there's plenty of things on offer to get through whatever you need to get through, the trauma, the day-to-day, etc., etc. Whether it's effective or not is another thing, but there are avenues to go down to deal with your mental health. So I got sent into a place in the city. It wasn't on site with at the military base, but went into the city to a psychologist, and as I walked through the door, the psychologist, she was a beautiful, beautiful woman. Shoulder pads, looking, I thought, here's the love of my life. And as I got in there, within about 30 seconds, I realised, no, maybe she's not the love of my life. But she does have some good advice, and she said, from what you've been saying, I think either meditation or yoga would be a good option for you. And I went with yoga because I thought, I've spent enough of the last 6 months doing nothing. Meditation sounds like nothing, just sitting around doing nothing. So I went with yoga. I thought, I've been using my body for all these years. I may as well, I still was keeping up the gym at that point. I thought, yep, yoga's for me. So that's what I did. I signed up to the yoga, and then I went back to the city, to this other place, leafy green suburb. And I went into this little churchy sort of place. And, okay, I'm here for yoga. I took my spot, and I looked around the room. I was like, there's something different about this room. And it didn't take me long, and then I realised, okay, so I'm the only man in this group. And to begin with, I thought, I've been through plenty of things. Being in a group of women, it's not going to be that hard. It might be a bit strange, a bit difficult, but I generally like women. And I thought, yep, I'm up for this challenge. Let's go. Let's do it. So the first exercise was a pretty simple one. The leader asked us to basically sit down and stretch our legs, and I couldn't do it. I looked across at this old chubby lady sitting across from me, and she just looked at me like, I can do it. And I was like, oh, good on you. And I got a little bit frustrated, and I think the teacher, she could definitely see, all right, this guy's struggling a bit. So she's brought it up in the group and said, she was trying to do the right thing and say, everyone's at different levels, whatever. And I was like, okay. But it wasn't really helpful. It just sort of drew more attention to me. And again, I thought, I've had plenty of experiences, not just wartime experiences, but social experiences where, I'm not the life of the party. I might actually be the butt of everyone's jokes. And I thought, I can deal with that. It's fine. But yeah, just bit by bit, I got a little bit more annoyed, I guess is the word. And then it became, when it was clear to me that the lesson, whatever it's called, or whatever that day was called, when it was clear to me that it really was a bit of a challenge, was when the lady, our leader, said, put your hands up like this, and then breathe to your left, both hands across. And every instruction she gave me, I did it like snap, bang, hands above your head, boom, done, shoo. And then it was obvious to me. I was like, I feel like I've spent, the last 10 years of my life in groups being told what to do. And not just being told what to do, but like having an objective and then getting it done. I'm really good at that, or I was really good at that. So every time she asked me to do things, I'd like snap, hands to this side, and then 3 seconds later, everyone else's hands had come along. So it's just another way that I didn't fit in. And I did care quite a bit. And I was just like, I just had this feeling from everyone. I don't know if it was real or whether it was just something I was working through, but I was like, fuck you bitches, like, I can, if something goes down here, I have a capability that you people, I assume, don't. And I felt no appreciation for that, and I was just like, whether I wanted to be appreciated or not, I didn't know, but I was like, you can't see my capability. If something goes down, I'll deal with it. It could be putting your hands above your head, it could be doing this, it could be whatever. And then I just felt frustrated, and they probably couldn't see it because me, like many men, especially if you've been overseas, it's just hard to read. So I was just sort of dealing with it. And then I guess I was just a series of cracking, so I didn't explode, but it came even more apparent to me what was going on when she said, okay, we're going to do the warrior pose. She put her hands out like this, and I was like, okay, I'm a warrior. I'm doing the pose you just said. And then it was really clear in my head. I was like, you motherfuckers have never been warriors, I assume. I've been a warrior. And I just stood there like still in this warrior's pose, and I was just like, I was getting angry. And I was like, I am a warrior. So I got a bit angry with that. And then the one that, there's a bit of anger, but the one that touched my heart was when she said, okay, now we're going to do the tree pose. And she said, just hold it as long as you can. And I was like, I will fucking hold it as long as I can. That's the last thing you should say to me. Because I have been in situations where I've been in the trees and I've been required to not walk like I'm walking now, stop and be a tree. And I've done that for 16 hours at a time, days at a time. Sometimes in really boring spots, sometimes in spots where it's almost as quiet as this, but there's this underlying threat. And I say, fucking, we've been doing this a minute and a half. I have been a tree. And don't fucking ask me to do it as long as I can, because I have done it before. I have done it as long as I can. I've fallen asleep on my feet. So don't fucking ask me to be a tree. I've done that. So I got angry, and I think they could feel it. And then, yeah, I just didn't appreciate that open-endedness. Like, because I will do it until my body falls over. I will do it until I get shot. So don't fucking ask me to do that. I was fucking angry, and they definitely felt it. But anyway, we kept going, and then I don't know who did it, but someone passed wind, and I was like, I can fucking deal with it. I've dealt with this before too. And then we don't know who did it, but everyone laughed, and it was supposedly sort of like bringing us all together a bit. And that's when I snapped, and I said, she was trying to make this lady that we thought did it, she was trying to make her feel more comfortable. And then I just stepped up, and it was the first thing I said in the class. I said, there's 3 levels to this. We can hide it, we can laugh about it, and we can accept it. Like, which one do you want to do? And then the energy went through the room pretty strong, more so than the smell. And it just cut everything. And I've experienced that. Like when you're with a group of men, group of anyone, you can hide your farts. That's the first level. And then as the group gets to know each other, there's like, it goes through like a funny stage, and you're comfortable enough with each other to pass wind, to do a fart. And I've been through that experience with groups of men. And then it gets to a point where you accept it, and it almost like someone else farts and it just feels like you fart. You're like, cool. So I just like brought that to the group, and I think it was appreciated. I was like, if you want to deal with shit, I'll deal with it. I'm not allowed to snap all your heads off. I wouldn't do that anyway, but I'm not allowed to do that. I wouldn't do it, but if you want something done, I've got some capabilities. If you want to deal with farting, I've dealt with that too. 3 levels. Which one do you want to do? Hide it, laugh about it, accept it, bang. And it just brought a different energy to the room. And then it brought a different energy to the rest of the whole experience. Because then the next pose we did was called Balasana. And the lady just tried to get back on, our leader got us back on track and just kept it textbook. She said, this actually means child's pose. And then I was like, thanks for bringing it back on track, but child's pose. My history involves children. I said, don't fucking bring it up. But I did it, and I kept it together. I had some images coming back about children. I started looking in my mind about the children of the ladies where I was. So we were all children once. Half you women, most of you women probably have children. Don't give me a child's pose, but I did it, and I got through it. And then I'd broken down a bit and said some stuff about the farting. I had got through the child thing, the child pose, and then we finished with something called Savasana. And we all laid down, and I was like, we've all slept before, this is cool. And then she kept it textbook, and she said, okay, so Savasana is a Sanskrit word for corpse. And that's, I was like, okay, I've seen corpses, got it. But what happens in Savasana is that everyone connects with their breathing. We lay down. There's just this wave that goes through the room. It takes about, different classes takes different times. It's like, just this thing goes through the class. And we all breathe as one almost, and it's just a moment. It's a very individual moment that can only be experienced in a group. And that's when I just started crying. And just tears, like I was on my mat, the tears came down just like 2 pools of tears on my yoga mat. And I was like, fucking great therapy. And it sort of was, but that's where my therapy started. So as we all sat up, it was then apparent how much I'd been crying. And our leader, she just looked at me, and she was at the level of acceptance. She was like, this is what it is. You're crying. And at the end of yoga classes, I've learnt that women, whoever's doing it, women, men, there's this moment where they go to the leader at the end to get what they may not have got in the class. And then, I didn't know it at the time, but that is something that happens. Nobody did that day. Everybody grabbed their yoga mat and left and ran for the hills. And it was just me and this lady left in the room. And we spoke, but there was nothing that could really be said that was going to change anything of what had happened. And then all she could say, and all I could say, I think we might have said it at the same moment, is, do you drink coffee? And I said, I didn't swear, but in my head I said, fucking oath to drink coffee. I've drunk heaps of it. And I fucking really want one now. And then what happened then is we went, it was about a 5-minute drive. She drove me there because I could have driven, but I wanted to be driven. I wanted someone to drive me there. I didn't know it at the time, but I wanted someone to drive me there. I didn't want to drive myself. And then we had coffee, and then this lady, who I'm now married to, spoke, and I spoke, and we just chatted through everything that on that day we wanted to speak about. I didn't know then that the yoga would become a regular thing, and I didn't know that I'd become a leader and a yoga teacher, but that is something that happened. I didn't know that I'd marry her, but I did. I didn't know everything I know about yoga now, but I learnt it. And So that is the story of how I come to have the job I now have, and it's the story of how I met my yoga wife, or my wife. So thanks for listening, and now I'm going to clap again. Oh, that's not going to work. So that you know that the story's finished, and it's not me talking. It's not the story talking. It's Alan. How do I clap with one hand? This is going to be a challenge. I'm going to put that there. So thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. That's a story. I actually did go to yoga, and I am a storyteller, a story maker, and that is what I was thinking. I didn't think the whole story in the thing, but I was like, man, imagine if I'd come back from the military and this is what I was faced with. See you next time. Big Al Story. Follow me on Instagram and YouTube. So I've never been to war. However, I realised I've just done a story about war, and it could bring up things for different people. What I have done with my life is worked with women and children for over 20 years now, and I've learnt a lot in that time. And all the other stories that I've done, pretty much all the stories I do are about the masculine and feminine, and these masculine and feminine archetypes and themes I believe to be extremely powerful, and they bridge wars, cultures, everything. So they run through everything. So if you have been to war and you've served, feel free to reach out to me. I encourage you to reach out to people that support networks you might already have. Reach out to me if you need to. My stories are there as well, about masculine and feminine things, not all about war. Reach out to me. My other social media name is Creative Behavior Dad on Instagram, and that there is where I talk about fathers, masculine, feminine, and a whole range of things like that. But fathers and parenting is what I talk about there. So I encourage people to, men and women, to reach out to other people, bridge those gaps, and I have a part to play in that. If you feel called to talk to me, message me on at Creative Behavior Dad. And I'm also starting something called the 3G process, which is a daily check-in system, which I have done myself for 2 years now, and I feel extremely blessed to have done it myself for 2 years, and blessed that I can share it with other people, because I feel that other men can feel the power of checking in with 2 other men every day. That's it. Maho.